Hey, thanks for joining me. So I just grabbed this book just today, actually, as I record this. This is Thursday, the what? Um, the 30th. Good Lord, I can't even keep my date straight. I've been anxious to get this. Robert Kirkman, he's been doing some interesting stuff, most of which I really, really like. Obviously, we know him from his biggest thing's got to be The Walking Dead, which was a cultural phenomenon when it became a TV series. Like, it was everywhere. But the comic was amazing. And then, of course, Invincible. It's got an animated series now. I read the entire comic book run when it was going in real time. Fantastic comic series. Can't recommend it enough. And then, of course, you see me, some of you, because no one watches the videos, where I do Battle Beast, his current kind of Invincible spinoff that is like one of the best comics I've ever read, especially in modern days. It's my current favorite new comic book ever. It's just absolutely fantastic. He recently got finished up with Skinbreaker, which was artistically beautiful. Story-wise, if you watch my videos, it just kind of went nowhere, unfortunately. It did have a point, but it did not require 8 issues to get to the point that it had, and I just wish it kind of would have had more to say, more to do. Blah, 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 bling, bling, blah. But then they announced that there was a new series coming out called Terminal. Now, I misunderstood when they announced it because I thought that it was a new Kirkman and David Finch book, and that is not the case. Exactly. I guess it's a new storyline, a new ongoing comic that's going to have a rotating lineup of artists. Which, I mean, honestly, if you think about that, isn't that every comic book series usually? Like, Xmen never had one artist ever. It had a bunch of different artists. Superman, Batman, all these like corporate books that have been around forever. Like, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But with something like Invincible, for the most part, it was Ryan Otley, and that's kind of what you're looking for. So they were like, Terminal's going to be coming out, and Finch will be doing a run. Art Adams is going to be doing a run, but it's going to start out with a Kubert, Andy Kubert. And for some reason, when I got this book and I read the credits, I thought it was Adam, his brother, and I was kind of surprised. It's Andy, not Adam. And it doesn't really matter. Kind of, both of them are great artists. It is interesting because Andy Kubert, like, I don't know when was the last time he drew a comic book. I'm not saying he hasn't. I haven't known what it was, nor have I followed his work. I don't think I've seen anything new that I'm aware of from Andy Kubert since his X-Men run in the 90's. Like, when I think about it, his name is always kind of prominent. When I think of X-Men, you mentioned the Kuberts. I'm like, of course, those guys, big artists, big important guys, talented, blah, 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 blah. But when I think about it, I'm like, what was the last thing I ever saw Andy Kubert do? I just have no idea. Again, I'm not saying he hasn't done anything. It wasn't anything I was picking up. So this is the first thing that I've seen from Mr. Andy Kubert in decades, maybe 30 years. I don't know. But I was really excited. A new title, new characters, new concepts. Get a big double page spread cover. Having read this thing, it's interesting. It's like a positive and a negative. It's just an X-Men comic. That's exactly how it feels. That's exactly what it read like. Now, what's funny is when you get to the end of the book, as I've mentioned this several times, that you get some information from the writer. And he literally says in here, he says, the goal is that this series captures that magical feeling the X-Men comics had in the 90's. He's literally trying to make a book that feels like an X-Men comic. And I didn't know that until I got to that. But as I was reading it, I'm like, this just feels like something from the X-Men. Like, it feels like when an artist is like when the X-Men was going in the 90's, especially once Jim Lee left and Marvel was trying desperately to hold on to the hyper popularity that Jim Lee brought to the book. it's like they bring on a new artist and announce their oncoming, like new penciler will be this guy. And so they start out with a big new storyline and some dramatic scenario that happens where there's something horrible that happens and there's some monstrous villains, and then the team has to get together. And a lot of times it has the feel of like a new team of characters. It feels like this could be a brand new X title in the 90s. Like you have Xmen and Uncanny X-Men and X-Factor and X-Force and Excalibur and all those things. And now here's this new X title. And it's this. And it's just going to be mutants, good and bad, fighting for the control of the planet. It's exactly what it reads. And so in one respect, that's kind of cool because I like that. I get the vibe. It's very familiar. I haven't seen something like that I gave a shit about in a long time. But as a negative, it's like that's been done, and it's been done in X-Men, and it was done 30 years ago. So what are you going to bring that's new? I don't know, right? So you get the creative team. So it's Kirkman writing with Joe Casey, who's a writer that I've come to respect a lot. He's done a lot of stuff that I really like. Andy Kubert doing pencils and inks. Dave McCaig on coloring. I remember him doing coloring. I think it was on the New Avengers when Brian Michael Bendis was writing it. And I was really into that stuff. I really liked it. And you get a list of good guys and bad guys. You got the Activators as the good guys and the Awoken as the bad guys. The Activators are Crusher, Blaster, Breaker, Thrasher, and Racer. All a bunch of ER names. They sound like Transformers. I mean, especially Blaster. And then the bad guys: Phantasm, Imp, Minotaur, Siren, and Goblin. That's just your new X-Men team and the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Start out, British Virgin Islands many years ago. A stormy sea, waves crashing, some dramatic kind of interior shot of a building as a guy wakes up out of his bed, walks into another room. Great art all over the place. Boy, does Russ Wooten love to do his double O's and have them hooked together. That is like his thing. I have noticed. Wooten loves to do that giant O's looped together. Just go find any book that he's lettered and it's there. So, mysterious guy, again, this is set many years ago, opens up some doors, bright, blinding flash of light, covers his eyes. There's lightning. He's out in the storm on the balcony of his house, looking up. He's confused. His eye starts bleeding. He screams. He falls to the ground. Blood is pouring out of his eye. Gotta say, I was talking about how I haven't seen anything from Andy Kubert in a while. Andy Kubert's one of those guys who I liked a lot of his stuff, and then there are times when I've talked about this on the channel, where he does stuff, he would draw in a way that, like, I got so sick of it, I would actually stop collecting a book because he drew it. I got squinty eyes, weird facial structures. It's still kind of there a little tiny bit, but he's kind of worked that stuff out. I think it's all fantastic now. But there was a time some years ago, I his little artistic kind of tics. I remember specifically stopping. I remember looking at his particular X-Men book, and there was a panel and a page, and I'm like, I've seen this scene. It's so aggravating. The shot choice, the extreme close-up, the squinty eyes. I remember saying to myself, kind of like, I'm done buying books that Andy Kubert draws. I'm done. And now here I am, and it looks pretty damn good. But anyway, back to the story. The guy bleeding out of his eye, and then you get this, like, insane body horror thing. Like, is this his own eye squeezing out of his head, or is this something else? Who knows? That's the thing. We don't know what it is. I don't need to know. I don't need to have everything spelled out. All we need to know is this giant, disgusting, fucked up eye is popping out of his head. And then something even more interesting. We cut to a new scene. There's a big screamy face shooting fire. It says Bluffdale, Utah. I'm like, I live in Utah. No one ever puts anything in Utah. Like, never. I mean, don't get me wrong. Utah's like every other state, every other place. It's got its unique features that make it unique. Like, we've got some of the most beautiful, like, wilderness you'll ever see. but no one, like, it's not like it's New York or Chicago or anything like that. So it's just kind of funny that, hey, we're in Utah. Some guy is shooting at another guy. And guy that's getting shot at, he ducks. He's like, you almost got me, but it doesn't matter. I got what I came for. So guy who was vomiting up fire from his mouth and his eyes, he's like, I'm going to make sure they don't bury you with it, imp. So little guy, imp, he's looking for something. He got something. And this guy, giant warrior dude with swords and shit, kind of a badass. I mean, from what we're seeing, they're fighting. Little imp guy. And then again, just in the world where like this feels like a, kind of like an X-Men comic. This is like a Toad, Pyro, Sabretooth amalgam creature. Violent, he's got claws, he's got flames, he's a little creepy looking little guy. But they slash by each other, and as the presumably heroic dude stops and the little imp dude takes off, you see the big wide-eyed look on his face, and then his body just falls into pieces. More crazy body horror stuff. Like, you had the eye exploding out of the dude's face. Now you got this dude cut in half, his guts everywhere. And so I'm like, well, who's this guy? And I went back, and he's Blaster. I mean, it says it right there. That's him. That's his face from that shot. That shot there is that shot there. That's Blaster. He shows up, he shoots, and he gets his body cut in half. So I'm like, is he dead? I mean, how do you introduce a character and then have him be dead? But is he also super invulnerable? Who knows? What is the story? Who's to say? So it starts out, new recruits, Kirkman and Casey writers, Kubert artist. It's funny that the credits are here and the credits are here. Why are we doing it twice? Anyway, so guy, cut up. So then we cut back to this new character, a woman. She's in some office building, something. A lot of text. Basically, she's looking for her sister. Sister's gone missing, and she can't find her. So she's been investigating forever, going onto the dark web and making some connections, like this wormy looking little dude who has some information for her, but he's like, this information I got, this goes into some dark stuff, some global shit that's really dark, really bad. I don't know if you want to be involved in this. He literally says it's got him spooked, and he doesn't spook easy. He's like, I don't think we should be poking around with this shit. And behind the guy who's bringing the girl information, there's that little imp guy again, the little Toad Pyro guy with his little flame claw hand. Literally cuts the guy's head off, falls to the ground, and imp guy's like, hey, that's pretty crazy what we're seeing, right? But hey, I'm gonna grab you, I'm gonna take you. You know, so you're kind of getting the idea. Mysterious girl's onto something. We've got bad guys. And again, kind of like an X-Men comic. This would fit. This could be, so far, an X-Men comic. All we need is like on one page for Cyclops or Wolverine to show up. And these are just new mutants. They're doing evil shit. We have to be introduced to the good mutants and then set up the clash. But he's chasing her. She runs. She goes down the alleyway. There's a mysterious shadowy figure right there. And the shadowy figure says, you know, she speaks, I'm always impressed by the enthusiasm, but not the best sales pitch, imp. So we're like, okay. And so here we go. This is the person that was around the corner, this big, strong girl. And this is the sister that the girl has been looking for. There she is, tall, ripped as shit. I love the art on this, kind of like the shadow choices, the heavy black choices on the rendering on the body to make her look strong and powerful. It's a tricky thing to pull off. It looks great. But there's her sister. Little imp guy comes to get the new girl. Marilyn is her name, and this is Allie. Imp goes after him, and big strong girl slams the guy up into the wall, quickly kind of dispatches him. I remember seeing this panel right here, and at first it was kind of, it was a tricky angle to like understand what I'm seeing at a glance. And this is something that Andy Kubert does, and it's just one of the things he likes to do. He'll choose really kind of like sharp, extreme angles. And I do like it. It is a little bit hard to kind of like understand for half a second. At least it was for me. It's like the camera's way up high looking down as she slams him up against the wall, and that's her body going down. It's a really complicated shot, and he pulls it off pretty well. But it did kind of make me stop and go, whoa, what? Oh, okay, and I got it. But she's obviously super strong, telling off the imp guy, like, you kind of suck. Imp guy puts his flamey face into his flamey hand into her face, so she sends him flying away, and then little imp guy just takes off. He's gone. He's like, I'm out of here. I'll come back and get you later. So now the sisters are like, the sister Marilyn's like, where have you been? It's Alessandra. She's like, what's going on? Where the hell have you been? What, this is her sister that's been missing, but you show up, you're super strong, you're fighting monsters. What is going on? So, because this is an X-Men comic, we get on the X-Jet and we fly to Muir Island to go to the X-Mansion. I mean, it's just an island and a resort there. And they land and we meet some new people. And, these are people who know each other. There's situations going on. They all know each other. And this girl, Marilyn, is like the character that we follow on the journey into this world. Because as they explain shit to her, then shit gets explained to us. That's kind of like a standard storytelling trope. It's simple, but it works. It's effective. But there is a little bit of kind of like, I've seen all of this before. It's not bad. It's well drawn. It's well constructed. The dialogue's fine. But as I was reading this, because I wasn't reading it just to like, let me just enjoy it, which is what I should do. But I was reading it kind of like from like a deconstructing it as I read it perspective. I'm like, what is going to be the unique factor about this? Especially when I kind of started feeling like this feels like an old school X-Men comic. So what are you going to do to make it different? What is the hook? And sometimes it takes more than one issue to really get the story going. But I'm kind of waiting. And so far, this just feels like tropes that we've seen. New mysterious character new character who doesn't know anything about it, who gets caught in the battle between two warring factions. Now we have to take her and introduce her to everything. Okay, so more characters. They're talking. There's a funeral for someone who died. Yeah, they said it's been over a week since Blaster. So, like, this character who's on the cover of the book and right here in the front credits, who dies in his very first scene, a very gruesome, like, severed in half. They're having a funeral for the guy. So I'm like, is it that simple? There's no way they're going to have a main character that's on the cover of the book, the inside credits, be shouted out and then just have him be dead. Or are they? That could 100% be what they're doing. I mean, a Marvel comic would never do that. But this is something different. So I don't know. They're having a funeral, some kind of like ceremony for him. Now we go into the mansion, and then there's a mysterious looking guy with creepy looking eye thing. And they're like, hey, Marilyn, I'm sorry. I know this is all overwhelming. I know you want answers. We haven't given you much, but answers are coming, I promise. We have to, it's all about the right time. I do really dig this shot. I don't know what's going on with this guy's creepy ass eye. It's weird. It's creepy. I like the shadowing and the lighting and the coloring on that panel. But they're kind of alluding to the fact that these guys are here to do things in a positive way for the world, which again sounds like an X-Men thing. We're like, we need to use our powers for the betterment of mankind. And so they keep kind of explaining things to this girl, Marilyn. But Marilyn's like, look, this is all amazing. This is a beautiful house. You've given me a wonderful room to stay in. But like, what is going on? And they're like, yeah, explanations are definitely in order. And he's like, Alessandra, maybe you should explain to your sister. So Alessandra puts her hands on her sister's shoulder. She's like, look, I raised you since we were a kid. And I went away, though, because I've been doing something very important. I'm sorry, but this is different. I need you to trust me. And so we get kind of a flashback to when they were kids, showing how younger one's being raised by the bigger one. And, kind of establishing their life together. So there's a bond between the two of them. But they're like, okay, but you have to trust us. that there's something crazy going on, and this is going to be weird, and whatever you think it is, I guarantee you it's not what you think it is. It's going to be a little bit shocking to take in. And so Marilyn's like, I'm here, right? Whatever's going on, I want to know. Don't hold back. I can take it. And the guy, he's like, yeah, to suggest something's going on would be a vast understatement. They're like, look, we're trying to like warn you what's behind these doors. Things get serious. Once you see what's going on in this next room, everything's going to change. So Marilyn walks into the room, look of shock, and what are we going to see? And I first looked at this, I'm like, oh, a pair of giant floating space titties. Oh no, it's a giant glowing eyeball nipple thing. I'm like, okay, that is not what I was expecting. A giant eyeball thing, which takes you back to the beginning of the book when the dude's eyeball was, he was bleeding out of his own eye, and then an eye crashed out of his own skull. Because this was years ago, it says, many years ago. Again, is it his own eye or is it something new? Is that it? It's a giant eye thing? I don't know. And so now it's a giant floating nipple eye, and it talks. It says, so this is Professor X, I guess. It says, now you face, I'm not, Maculox? Maculox? Or Maculox? Maculox, eons of cosmic time bring this moment forward. The choice is upon us once more. Limitless potential or apocalyptic consequence, a blessing or a curse, a gift of emergence. The gift of emergence does not come without cost. Marilyn Howe, you stand at the precipice of a cosmic awakening. I bid you heed this calling. He continues saying, time is the ultimate cosmic fire forging greatness from stellar remains that have long since lost their light. Those who still burn within, they walk without fear or danger, like you. Awareness was a gift taken for granted. The light inside dimmed. Power waned. A light unseen is a light forgotten. Gifts that fell dormant. Meanwhile, systems collapse while humanity slumbers. But no longer we awaken all who come before us, for better or worse. The truth is within you. And she's like, I don't understand what's going on. So the giant nipple eye says, you surf along a roaring tidal wave of genetic legacy. What is to understand? And so the sister, Alessandra, says, to be fair, Maculox, she's not used to your unique vernacular. Don't scare her away before she's had a chance to decide. So giant nipple eye says, you cannot parse what is fated. The cosmic fires rage. The roar of the flames reaches its peak. It demands an answer. Do not hesitate, for our mission is humanity's advancement, awakening. Theirs is suppression, destruction, and our enemies march ever forward. So giant nipple eye is saying, like, this is an important thing we have to do. We are trying to advance humanity. The others are trying to suppress and destroy humanity. Cut back to another scene. Black Mesa Research Facility, New Mexico. You got bad guys. And so here's your Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, right? Lizard monsters and giant lizard creature and creepy, toad pyro guy and hot girl with weird line of lines on her face. They're the bad guys. They are going to do some evil shit because that's what happens. So now we cut back to the main girl, Marilyn, and it's a bunch of inner thoughts of hers as she's like getting a moment to consider if she wants to become part of this. She gets to visit the island. She gets to meet some of the other crew, the guys who were listed on the inside front cover. How, like, she doesn't get to see one of them, probably because the guy on the inside cover, Thrasher, he looks like a freaking werewolf thing. He's under a cloak, can't see him. And then so she gets to have a private conversation with her sister, and the sister demonstrates that she's super strong. She can lift up things. And so, again, it's like they're trying to convince her, or like, this is your chance. You can do this or not. It's up to you. But just remember, it's going to be tough, but the sister's like, we can do things together. We can be a family again if you choose to do this. Blah, 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 blah. So what do you want to do? So Now we cut back to Marilyn. She's standing in front of Nipple Eye, and the voice is saying, "And so you stand before me once again, Marilyn, how now accepting the next step in our cosmic evolution. There is a state beyond humanity. Few have fully experienced it. You will now join them. Within my core lies the power to activate you, to usher you to the next level. Prepare to receive my glory bestowed upon you. Stand before me and accept your transformation. Belief in yourself is all that's required." And she kind of stumbles over her where she says, "I'm ready." When he says belief in yourself, and that doesn't sound like she does. So then the titty eye says, "Let there be light, let it shine within and without you." That sounds like song lyrics right there. So the titty light shoots her with a laser. Her body's kind of like stretching in agony as we see, I don't know if this is supposed to be like her ancestors going back through eons of time. I don't know. Again, it doesn't tell us, and I don't need to know. It's interesting. Let us just discover the story. Let us just see the visuals and see what happens. Then we get a close-up of her eye. Now, I'm honestly not sure what we're looking at in that panel. It looks like it's cracking like rock or something. I'm not sure what I'm looking at besides it's her eye, but whatever's happening to it. But she's getting the power, right? She's going to become one of the chosen whatevers. And then the people outside the room, the sister and the other guy, they're like, "Hey, she's screaming. What the hell?" And then the giant titty eye says she possessed belief, but not enough. Her blessing was denied. And she is just a blown up corpse now. Like, again, crazy body horror gore. That's really awesome. But it's also like, that's not what I was expecting to happen. You know, we kind of assumed this girl was going to be our character to take us into the universe, and we're going to follow her adventure, right? Who knows what's actually going to happen, if this character is going to live, if she's going to die. What is the thing that's going to happen? I don't know. But for the moment, she's dead. All that story following her, she's vaporized. So now we're at a funeral. The sister Alessandra is burying her. Great funeral scene. It's in the rain because when you know how it is. If you're ever at a funeral outside, it's always raining. And everything's sad. And then a voice from off to the side says, there's this... these text boxes, but you find out that these text boxes are not the voice of anyone else that we've followed so far. It's this voice off to the side. This voice is talking about this girl, Alessandra Hare. She says she's starting to question everything, wondering how she could have been so blind to all the deception baked into this life that she's chosen. She wants to know why. I know exactly how she feels. And then a voice says, "Are you going to make contact, sir? Tyler?" And then we cut to the final page of the book. Here's some tough-looking motherfucker guy. And he says, "Not yet. She's not quite ready, but she's close. She'll learn, and very soon, that each and every one of them is living on borrowed time. When you agree to do Maculox's bidding, you're terminal." Dun, dun, dun. The end. So, again, I was talking about, like, what is going to be the unique hook to separate this from being just kind of a retread of, like, Xmen type setup. I'm not sure. Floating nipple thing is kind of interesting. I don't know. Characters that are dying instantly, so no one's safe. That's something that you don't usually see. I don't know. I will definitely be picking up this book for several issues. I'm going to give it a big, long, fair, a shot. I'm not blown away. I really would like to be. It's fun. The fun part, like I said, is it feels like an old X-Men book, and that's the point. It feels like I'm reading something like just a lost story I never picked up from back in 1996. And that, like they say in the letters page here, that's exactly their point. That's exactly what they were going for to a degree, but then also doing their own unique take on it. But it's not like, I'm not like, holy shit, that is so great. I cannot wait to see what's next. I'm not that kind of super excited, but I am interested. So I guess that's good enough. I will give it a fair shake and keep going and see what comes of it. I do like this stuff, though. I personally would love to see all of this stuff blown up even bigger. You get to see Andy Kubert's like rough sketches, and then his rough pencils, Titan pencils, final inks, and then color, and then letters. I really like seeing the kind of, behind the scenes production stuff like that. Really cool stuff. And of course, ads for various other comics that are coming along. I can't wait to get the black and white edition of Skinbreaker. Holy shit, that's going to be awesome. So anyway, it's fine. It's good enough. I'm interested, just not blown away. But we'll see. Sometimes first issues are hard, and getting your ducks in a row to build up to the story to come is the trick, and you have to give it the opportunity to get there. So we'll see. So that's all I've got for now. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.